Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
All right.
I'm Jerry Porter.
And we're joined again by Jerry's sister, Christy. Welcome back.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Christy.
It's good to see you again. Thanks for coming back. Jerry has a song stuck in his head. Can you tell?
Yeah. Well, how can you not? It's nothing but hooks.
It's awesome.
That John Williams guy.
He knew what he was doing. He's going to go far. All right. Today we're here to talk about minute 23. And minute 23 begins with Indy denouncing magic, a lot of superstitious hocus pocus, and ends with him settling down for a nice long seaplane ride.
I have a question here. It starts out with, as you said, denouncing, superstition, but also sort of excoriating Marcus for sounding like Indy's mother. And I was like, do we ever know? Do we ever find anything out about Indy's mother ever? Like ever?
His dad was Ben Kenobi, and his mom was, let's say, Torrin Farr from Hoth.
All right.
That's Star Wars.
Is that the only reference to his mother in all 4 movies?
No, as a matter of fact, it's not.
Yeah.
I can think of one other one at least.
All right. Well, we'll get there when we get there.
One.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember it at all, and I was like, "We have this whole freaking movie about his dad."
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, his mom must have come up sometime, right?
Not. Yes.
He sounds like he doesn't think very highly of her. At least she's like a nag or a, get out of the apple tree type of mother.
Don't put nails in the things to hang them up on the walls.
Yeah.
Andy.
He almost got killed stealing that from India. Now don't put a nail hole in it.
Well, so it comes up later, and I'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
It's in like 3 movies from now, so relax.
Well, if it's the 4th one, that doesn't count.
Well, okay, 2 movies.
All right.
Yeah, he doesn't have a phone on his desk. Sorry.
It's probably hanging up in the kitchen like ours was.
Not in 1936
Yeah.
It weren't.
Well, he could have been one of those that's hanging up.
1936, they probably have that phone hallway that Grandma had.
Yeah. And you have to crank the thing on the front.
I did probably have an alcove.
Westchester 328. Westchester 328.
Klondike 3972.
Good one.
Klondike 3. Remember, Mom used to say Fairmount. Like Fairmount.
Yellowstone 2. That's right.
And he'd be like, "What the fuck is that?"
Why are you
And he'd be
saying
like, "Well,
words? You're trying to dial a phone. Why are you saying words?
Well, that's how we remembered it when a fellow was interested in us, you see.
He'd write Fairmont 793 on our knickers, and then we knew he was interested.
If he wanted to pitch a little woo. If he wanted to come to call.
Oh my God.
At the risk of enraging our guest, I would like to posit that we have evidence piece number 13 that this is Han Solo's dream.
Do it.
No.
Get your hands off your ears.
When he refers to not believing in magic or a lot of superstitious hocus pocus, that reminds me a lot of Hocus Pocus on the Millennium Falcon.
One side of the galaxy to another. Never believed in anything.
He's got a lot of strange stuff. And he also, in Force Awakens, he calls it Mumbo Jumbo, which is very close to Hocus Pocus.
Oh.
Wow, okay. Pete, you're oddly good at this.
It's like you're some kind of Lucasfilm nerd or something.
Yeah, like you studied it or something.
You should do a show.
Yeah.
Or like you're completely making it up.
Yeah, or wildly unemployed.
All of which is true.
You're either pathetic or awesome. I can't tell which. So yeah, I love this. I always this is another scene I like just recite to myself all the time. I don't know if I've mentioned this. I of course had the Star Wars story record, which is part of the reason why I can recite that movie now. But I had the Raiders of the Lost Ark story record, which in a way was cooler because it had zero narration. It was literally just the sound from the movie. And it was a little bit edited to fit it on a record, but it was really cool. Like it was like it was made for a kid who's seen the movie 10 times and he knows exactly what's going on and doesn't need any narration and just wants to hear the sound of the movie. It was very, very cool.
Jeez, I don't know why we didn't have the story record. We should have had the story record. Gee, why didn't we have the story record?
Mom hosed us.
Oh.
Yeah, Mom hosed us. You sound like my mother. What you trying to do?
Newbie!
Diminish our record collection?
We did have the soundtrack to it, and I drew the soundtrack, the vinyl record cover for my major art project in 8th grade.
Oh, that's
and it
awesome.
was really hard too because like I had to draw Indiana Jones with his fedora and stuff, and it was really good too. But it was hard.
You were the only one who was artistically
True.
gifted at all in the family.
Do you still
It's
have
true.
that?
Other people were doing like, whatever Rolling Stones album came out that year or whatever, and like it's not as hard. Not as hard. Totally.
Dark Side of the Moon is easy.
There you go.
A triangle and some lines.
I tried to draw that fedora a lot as well in grade school, and I never could get
It's
it right.
not easy.
No.
Not easy.
No. Do you still have your thing, Christy? That you did?
I bet it's in my mom's, boxes somewhere. I bet she
Aw.
drove it down just yesterday. In fact, she drove down yesterday with a bunch of boxes.
Well, once again, keep beating the dead horse. Indy says on this one, we're talking about, when speaking about the Ark, he says, we're going to go after this thing of great historical significance.
Yeah.
Yeah, historical significance.
So that's what he means about the Ark being everything they got into archaeology for. Like,
He's going to be historically rich.
yeah. Like all those other famous archaeologists who you read about in GQ and Vanity Fair and
Well, he doesn't.
Life
I mean,
magazine.
again, he shows no respect for its potential religious significance.
I don't know if that's necessarily if he's necessarily discounting that.
Well, in this, I mean, he's like, we're going after a piece of his great historical significance, and Marcus just finished the whole, talking to me and telling me about the supernatural, and it's not something that to be taken lightly, and.
Yeah, but
like,
I think
well,
it could still have great religious significance without being supernatural, in his mind. And I think that by calling it a historically significant, I think that he could easily be lumping in the religious significance too.
Just one more thing of building character. Like, no, he's more, he's just not that interested in the religious component of it, which is fine. But I'm just saying they're showing. I think they're exhibiting that, and who knows? Maybe that will change
What?
by the end of the movie. I don't know.
It's like he's saying hokey religions are no match for a good blaster anyway.
Yeah, and then he takes out his
Exactly.
blaster and tosses it in the suitcase.
Stop. That's not even that. No, stop.
I've had it with you, Pete. No.
Still unemployed, eh? Well, and I'm sure as we all notice, a big part of this is, and this is a very sensitive issue, certainly in America, responsible gun ownership.
Uh-huh.
It
was a simpler time, Jerry.
he pulls. I mean, he keeps the gun in his desk, below the globe. Like, do you have a gun in the desk at home,
Certainly.
Chriser?
I do not have I don't even have a globe, Jerry Bear. So,
But when you pack your gun, you tend to throw it across the room.
I do not. I don't keep it in a felt napkin, and I don't throw it around into luggage. No.
If you had a globe,
Thanks
would
for
you
checking
keep
that.
it loaded in the house? Or would you keep it
No,
tucked
those
away
things
in the
don't
safe?
usually get sold together in sets or anything,
All right.
as far as I know. No.
Well,
When do you think the last time was that he used that gun? Was it in Peruvian forest or?
Oh, that's an
When
excellent
did
point.
last
It's
time he
not.
used this gun?
We have no idea when he last used that gun because Belloc took the gun that he had when he was in South America at the beginning of the movie. So who knows where this gun has been used?
Yeah.
well, and he. I
And
mean,
do you think it's loaded when he throws it into the suitcase, or unloaded gun?
according
Not
to the
right- not safe to
music,
keep
that's
it loaded.
loaded. Yeah, according to the music, it's got to be loaded.
It makes his
Oh,
line
I
a lot
see.
more effective if it's loaded about him being a cautious fellow.
Well, there's a supreme irony there. Again, what he views as being cautious is actually,
Yeah.
wildly irresponsible. And I want to know, like, what was the TSA like back then? Like, he just
I think we
his
see it.
suitcase and. It's like,
He just
is
walks
that?
onto a plane.
I was gonna say, are you allowed to carry? I don't know, not being a gun owner, but are you allowed to throw a revolver into your suitcase, and then can I go to the LAX airport and just check my bag in?
Well, there is nothing more fascinating about watching any movie from before even like, I don't know, the 90s or something, and seeing scenes of people being on planes or boarding planes or being in airports, and they could literally do anything. They can like literally walk onto the plane without a ticket and buy a ticket on the plane while they're smoking a cigar and a pipe at the same time.
That's true.
Good times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he can
thumbing
like
through Hustler.
he could have a bag of guns that he's just shaking in the guy's face as he walks onto the plane.
That you don't have a ticket for. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I tell you, what's wrong with this country?
So let's see what else. So then he leaves. You
Yeah.
think Marcus drove him to the to the airport?
Yeah, did he
Well,
stay
Had
there all
champagne on the
night?
way?
How did he get from the East Coast to California?
Oh, I was going to ask that next minute because they don't show it on the map at all. That's a significant part of the trip, and they just totally leave it out.
Well, did we ever establish he's not actually on the East Coast? And I
He
think I
is
made a
actually on the East Coast. He is
I
in
made
New
a good
England.
point about that because he's teaching a co-ed classroom.
It's a movie.
And those Ivy Leagues did not become co-ed.
He also
until,
stuck
like, the
his hand
60s.
in a shaft of light and a corpse shot out of the wall.
That happens on the East Coast?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. In the springtime.
Oh, right.
First the cherry blossoms and then
We've
forest all
established-
shoots out.
It's not springtime, it's Halloween.
Oh, that's true.
True.
It's all.
We don't actually know that he's on the East Coast. They never tell us he's on the East Coast. That's one of those non-canonical things, I think.
I think it is 100% canonical only because.
She just called you out.
Hang on, I'm looking at.
Non-canonical. Mo and Joe Nerd, according to the comic book. We have a comic book alert.
I'm sorry. Was that a third rail of some kind? I wasn't supposed to say non-canonical.
I am pushing my glasses up my nose. Page 35 of my Raiders of the Lost Ark novelization. The chapter title is Connecticut. That's
Somewhere
where
on the
Marshall
East Coast.
College is.
Uh-huh. Sure it is.
And in the last movie, if you want to consider that canonical, they filmed the stupid thing at Yale. It's the East Coast. Everybody leave me
Although
alone.
they filmed this one in Stockton, so
Yeah, they filmed it in Stockton.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
but-
they filmed South America, in quotes, in Hawaii.
In the screenplay, it says a New England college.
Okay, not all of us have access to the screenplay.
Well,
And
listen.
we certainly didn't in 1981 when we watched the movie.
True.
Right? Right? All we
It's
know
true.
is that a little red line is going to leave the West Coast.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
All right. And they have girls in the classrooms.
Yeah, Jerry's bringing that up.
Girls.
That's what I'm talking flesh and blood right there.
It's not like it's Georgetown. Nuh-uh. Taint. Okay.
he said taint.
Sorry. I didn't mean to.
That's the Professor Porter.
Now, if I was going to bleep that, would I only bleep Pete's, or would I have to bleep both of them?
Unknown.
I
Don't
guess
know.
we'll find out.
Moving on to that plane.
I want to point out that this is the fourth look that we've seen for Indiana so far, that clothes horse. We've seen him in his Indiana Jones outfit. We've seen him in his Professor Nerd outfit and in his hanging out at home Playboy robe outfit. And now,
And it is clear that he was wearing pants in this minute.
oh yeah,
Not
yeah.
in the last minute.
I never
but
doubted
in
he
this
was wearing
minute he's wearing
pants.
pants. Well, they didn't show.
He and Marcus are not like that. They wear pants.
Well, he was
around
hanging
each
out in
other,
a robe. It's like 6:30 in the evening.
drinking champagne, playing piano,
Champagne.
tossing whips. But yeah, he looks pretty. This is like one of the only times we see him in anything like this, like a suit, like your dad would wear on his way to the office, and a hat.
A gray.
Back in the day, you did have to dress up to go flying on a plane.
You had to dress up to make a long distance phone call.
Good
He
point.
was really uptight.
I wondered about that. When did that stop? Because we all remember that.
I don't know.
And when did we start letting all these Hawaiian shirted,
Flip flop wearing.
yeah, lumpen proletariat on the freaking plane with us?
To say
And yet
nothing
the
of
first thing he
children.
does is he unbuttons his top button and like loosens his tie. So he doesn't mean to look good. He doesn't mean to look too spiffy.
Well, he's
right?
looking casually disheveled and fetching by undoing his tie like that and setting his hat back a little bit.
Well, then why did he bother dressing up?
He has to look good getting on the plane, but then once he's on it,
right.
he can
So
relax
clearly
a little
he
bit.
knows people on the plane, like the captain.
Yeah, the guy.
Yeah.
Does he? Yeah. Did I hear that right? That
What?
he says like he welcomes him by name. He's like, "Oh, good to see you again, Dr. Jones," or something. Is that
Yes.
No, that's
Yeah.
a steward. That's
true? Well,
a
whatever.
steward.
I mean, the guy.
It's not the pilot.
He's got pips on his shoulder. He's some kind of dude.
Did he say
And-
again?
and-
Nice to see you again.
I thought so.
Yeah, it makes it crystal clear that, Indiana Jones regularly commutes to Nepal.
Well, here's my question then, because he's on the China Clipper, the famous plane that used to fly from San Francisco to Manila.
Well, he's on a painting of the China Clipper.
He's on a well, no, he's actually on an actual plane.
No, but when the long shot is almost all matte painting.
Most of it, but the plane
Yeah.
itself is an actual plane,
Right.
Which you can visit. Free advertisement here for the Oakland Aviation Museum. The plane, this movie is on display, and Sundays you can tour it.
Oh, that's awesome. Can you go in it?
You can go in it.
That's so cool.
It looks
The
exact-
actual plane they used?
The
actual
original
plane.
stone tablet. Oh, sorry.
That's very cool.
But one thing we can do, because the first China Clipper flight was October 21st, 1936. And we know it's still 1936.
Oh,
And a round-trip China Clipper flight would have been at least 2 weeks.
wow.
What?
So if he's already nice to see you again, Dr. Jones. Someone who's playing fast
Well,
and
maybe
loose
that guy worked on the previous plane or something.
on the. But it does help us because we were wondering if this was taking place over Halloween break.
All right. Because of the skeleton
Right.
in his classroom.
Break for Halloween.
No, we established he had a skeleton in his classroom. He had a skeleton hanging up that had
poster.
obviously no educational redeeming value.
Just a bit of fun decoration for the kids.
Yeah, and Pete was like, well, clearly it's Halloween.
I think probably Marcus took over for him. Just kept giving him, just use the same lesson plans and such. He's probably taught that course like a million times. But yeah, he really did just disappear, just bag the whole semester then, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
he's
been-
not making his Thursday office hours.
not at all.
No, he is not.
That's always going to make me nervous about this movie. Like, how does he maintain a job as a teacher if he's constantly jetting around on the China Clipper?
Although at this point we could say it's Christmas break because the magazine, which we'll get to in a minute, being read on the plane is from November 30th.
Oh, and you found that. You found that
right.
online.
You can look up if you want to look up Life magazine from November 30th, 1936. You can see exactly what they were reading.
And is that the second issue of Life?
Yeah, the very second issue.
It is. In
I
fact.
got about 5 pages into that, and I almost threw up. It's so bizarre. It's like, oh, one of our readers has a new Leica camera, and they took these amazing pictures of a guy's skull being slit open so that they can operate on his brain and then put his skull back together and tape his scalp back on it. And it's like, what? They're just, oh my gosh, the 30s
Well, you know,
bizarre.
the editors really had a lot of opinions there. They're like, we don't think very much of this as a surgery, but, you know, that was a great camera, sure enough.
Yeah, you can't deny that. No matter, how much you're vomiting right now, it's really a fascinating camera.
The
You
reason
can take
why
pictures
that's
of other
actually
non-vomitous
that makes
stuff.
a lot of sense historically, not that you asked, but you were about to, is because in the 1930s, that's when the guy who really popularized lobotomies in Western Europe, he was a Portuguese surgeon named Moniz. He started doing it, and then it was brought over by this one guy named Freeman around in the mid-1930s, and then they continued until the early 1970s, lobotomies. And that wasn't the standard lobotomy right there. That was an atypical lobotomy. But this is exactly when these got really, really popular.
Oh my
just to
gosh.
let you know.
Wait a
now you
minute.
know.
Are you a professor of neuroscience? we didn't. You're showing your cards.
I thought you taught French.
No, not at all.
By the way, I'm putting a link to this magazine on our Facebook page and on our website. So if you want to see what we're talking about,
Awesome.
a link there.
Yeah, careful not to vomit on your keyboard. You're going to see a human brain just being poked around at in glorious black and white.
Because it was a great camera, you know.
Wait, wasn't there some article on the Sea of Galilee too?
I didn't get that far.
No, because so they talk about the Rembrandt painting in there. So it's called the Sea of Galilee, and that one was that one was stolen in 1990 as part of the largest art heist in the world.
Oh my gosh.
It is now. So 2 college students were night watchmen. They got bound and gagged and so forth. And then the art thieves went around and took whatever they wanted. They took 12 different paintings, including the Rembrandt and the Vermeer and so forth, and they've never been seen since. Although the FBI is offering, like a $5 million reward for $500 million worth of 1990s
So
money.
would you say that there's a price on their head, sort of like Han Solo, and this is all part of his dream too?
I'm going to one up.
I
I mean, are you saying that there's actual Raiders of the Lost Art?
But it was a pretty good issue of Life magazine, we'll just say. has everything from brains to later stolen art.
Being read by...
Jerry?
Oh, yeah. Is that? I don't know. But is that Tote?
It is not Tote. I
What are
always
you talking about?
assumed it was Tote.
Well, of
but
course it is.
It is not Tote.
It is not Toad.
There
You're
are
a bunch
many
of liars.
reasons. Here are my reasons for knowing that it's not Tote. A, his face. B, it's Dennis Muren, the special effects wizard from Star Wars to today, who is our secret hero, who we love everything he's ever touched. But yeah, he's a different dude with glasses and a hat, and he's not Tote.
And they actually asked
Why did-
Dennis Muren at one point if he was supposed to be playing a stand-in for Toad. And he said no.
Oh, see?
Really? Well, I wasn't wedded to the idea that it was Tote. I never knew. I sort of assumed it was. I'm like, oh, he looked good when he got on the plane.
Yeah, he's a little less pasty on the China clip.
Yeah, geez.
2 weeks later, not looking so good.
I'll tell you, air
Why on
travel
earth-
these days.
Got a bad peanut.
Why did they make him look so much like Tote? That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
That is
a
a little
always thought it was
strange.
Toad. When I
Although-
was a kid and watched it, I always thought it was Toad.
But what makes him look like Toad? He's got a hat and glasses? Is that it?
It's those
Yeah.
round kind of moon glasses.
And his face, since you thought that was what didn't make him look like it. I'm
he
gonna
has
say
a
that
hat.
is
Isn't he
what
wearing a hat? He's wearing a hat. It's like a toad
Yeah.
hat.
Well, who isn't wearing a hat? It's the 30s.
Well, actually, the lady in the front row in business class, she's not wearing a hat.
She just took hers off. It's
Well,
on her
and
lap.
Business class.
Wait, speaking of hats, I have a fantastic question. Indy's wearing a hat. It's a gray hat. It's not his regular Indiana Jones costume hat. Is that hat like now in his luggage next to his gun and his whip and his thing? And is it getting all smushed and out of shape?
Oh my gosh, that makes me so anxious.
Or maybe he bought another seat for the hat.
Oh,
Yeah, I
maybe.
do
feel
that
like
back
the
then.
And his
feds
bag of
are paying
guns.
for it.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
One more $30,000 nut and bolt for NASA.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm going to alley-oop you, Pete.
All right.
Is the China Clipper employee a double agent? Like, how did they know that Indy was on that flight? Like, who tipped them to whatever?
Oh, that's a good question.
And
You know
I was
what?
like, China Clipper guy is like, oh damn, Dr. Jones is on the flight.
No, you know what?
Excellent question.
I got to
If
sell
the-
this out.
If the U.S. Army can put together that they need to talk to Indiana Jones to find Abner Ravenwood to find the staff of Ra, then the Nazis could too. So maybe they were just like one step behind the like Porkins and Musgrove. And so
But
now they're just following Indy. They caught up to him and now they're following him.
Yeah, but you're like, I mean, they show you clearly, like, oh, he's being followed now. You're like, but who tipped what? How? Nobody. I mean, we don't know. Somebody got a rogue
That's what I'm saying.
email.
I don't think anybody tipped anybody. I think they just tracked down. Oh, if we're gonna find Abner Ravenwood, that track led them to Indy, and now they're just following him.
See, now
Well,
I want to rewatch the minute and see if there's some kind of a secret, subtle head nod between the steward and the not tote guy.
It's weird. The one time, first when you see the steward, he's just like empty-handed, but then the next time you see him, he's got a gigantic bag of money with a huge dollar sign on it, or like a Deutschmark sign.
No, I'll tell you the problem. It's exactly what you said, Christy. You have a house and you have open windows with all sorts of artifacts inside. Inviting all sorts of nefarious people to eavesdrop.
Well, they had to get out ahead of it. That's quite clear because it takes 2 weeks to go anywhere, as we just learned, on a China Clipper. So you can't say, oh, this guy's going to show up at the airport. I better get there. No, it took you 2 weeks to get to that airport.
Yeah.
So I guess he's not that careful because he didn't know he was being followed.
Yeah.
Not too bright.
This is not the first time we've suggested that Indy could stand to stop, count to 10, take a deep breath, think about what he's doing, plan a little bit, think about the effects of his actions. Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's getting followed without knowing about it.
I bet it's those two stewardesses who are like clasping hands under the wing. They're right behind the steward. I bet it's them. They look real sly and subtle, and they don't have anything to do with the scene at all. But I bet it's them.
They're clasping each other's hands or their own hands?
Yeah, no, they're clasping. They're about to do like a swing dance or something. But no, not their own hands. They're each other's
It
hands.
was the 30s.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
hysterical. I gotta go look at
they're
that.
sitting there, going like, the life of a stewardess just, I'm tired. There's no money. Yeah, we spent next 2 weeks on this damn bird.
And I like that it's 1936 and we can still stay stewardess.
Yeah,
That's right.
those are the
Flight of
days.
heaven. I said stewardess. And you know what? I throw my gun wherever I want.
You say stewardess, I say skirt. A couple of skirts clasping hands.
Oh dear.
All right. Well, I think that should do it for this minute. Pete, where can you tell all the offended stewardesses and stewards to write to us with their complaints?
Well, check us out on Facebook. Look us up under Indiana Jones Minute and find a link to this fantastic, weird Life magazine. And give us your opinion. Do you think it's tote? Do you not think it's tote?
It's not dope.
Come find us at IndianaJonesMinute.com.
Please do. And then please find us here tomorrow for minute 24. Yeah, 24 of Raiders of the Lost Ark on the Indiana Jones Minute.